Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the I Do Music podcast, and our goal and our mission is to empower and educate musicians and artists worldwide. And on today's episode, we sat down with international publicist and founder of Music in Motion PR, Sophie Jackson, discussing how she went from music blogging to the world of PR, dealing with great loss while elevating in her career, and offering a niche service for artists outside of the UK, like her clients Lil' Kim and most recently B. Simone. Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the I Do Music podcast, and I'm so excited because I have international publicist and event planner and all-around badass Sophie here with me.
Hey.
Yes, from Music in Motion is your company, is it like a PR firm?
Yeah.
So you are dope. I was able to meet you with a friend of mine out in LA. Finally, I had
Random. I'm so glad you came with him.
Shout out to Yali. But yeah, no, I'd already knew of your name, just like buzzing with some of the work that you have with your client Neela, who's based here in Atlanta, as well as my sister Paige. So yeah, we have a lot to cover of like just. I admire you, I should say, to start just your work ethic and how determined you are to get the job done, which is not abnormal for a publicist, right?
Yeah, we're very persistent, much to some people's annoyance. But hey, we get shit done.
I appreciate the persistence, though. Like, Sophie will literally text me, like, multiple messages to make sure that everything is on point, and I appreciate that.
I don't really send, like, I'm not really someone that sends, like, a long-ass message, unless I'm going on, like, a rant at someone or I'm annoyed. But my thoughts be racing, like, super quick, so I'll be sending them, like, da-da-da-da-da.
I'm the same way, so it works for me. Your mode of communication works for me.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your start in the business before we get into the list of clients. Because, I mean, you worked with a lot of people, honestly, based out of Atlanta, too, like Cody Shane, to Zaytoven, to most recently B. Simone, and so on and so forth. But we'll get into that. I want to know, because we have a similar story in the way that you started as a music blogger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been in the industry since like 2011, and I first started with my music blog. I started the music blog in the first place because I was on a placement year from university at the time. It was actually doing like PR and marketing at Cartoon Network and Boomerang in like central London, but I actually hated it. Like I really didn't like it. Yeah. I was like making blogs and things like that for their like European department and then having to get them translated for the websites because it was like they covered like Romania and Bulgaria. So
wow.
Had to do all this different stuff. I didn't really like it that much. And then I had like another 6 months left when that was finishing until I was meant to be going back to university. So I was like, oh, what am I going to do for that 6 months? So I was trying to find like another internship or something to fill that gap. And I just went on the MTV website at the time because at that time and that age, you kind of see like MTV as being the pinnacle music industry-wise, but it's not really like
not anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
And they had an A&R internship on there, so I applied for that. I don't even think I knew what an A&R was at that time. It just sounded cool, so I applied for it. But I was like, oh, if I am lucky enough to get called for an interview, it'd be good to have something kind of like music related that I've got going on to like show for myself. Mm-hmm. So then I was just like, oh, what can I do? So I decided to just start the music blog. The music blog started to kind of take off because I was just really consistent with it, and like I made my Twitter account at the time and launched everything.
What was it called?
I think it was literally just called Music in Motion. Yeah, so it all kind of started from there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, and it was just on Tumblr.
That's how mine started, literally on Tumblr. SammyApproved.tv.
Yeah, it was on Tumblr. And so I started going to, because I was staying in London as well at the time because I was doing the placement and work and stuff. So I was able to like get around and go to events. And so I just started going to events, reviewing showcases and interviewing artists myself. I just built my network up like really quickly from doing that. Never did get called for the interview for the MTV thing, but
it launched.
Need to in the end, I guess. So, yeah, built up a network from doing that, and where I was consistent, it built up pretty quick, and it got to a point where I didn't really need the contacts so much necessarily that I gained as like just a blogger. So I kind of transitioned into the PR side of things, realised I was naturally good at that and built that up to a point where I could start doing it properly, and then had clients literally from the UK to here to the Netherlands, Germany and Toronto.
Why do you think that you were naturally, because I heard you say that before, why do you think that you were naturally good at PR? Like that?
It was like a key moment where I did something and I was like, oh wait, this is PR, like I can really do this. And that was when Little Kim came to London.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I only had my blog at the time, and I was actually just due to interview her artist at the time, Tiffany Fox. She stays out here as well, in Atlanta. And yeah, I was just interviewing Tiffany for the blog, went and did that, and then was meant to go with her and Kim, like meet back up with them, because Kim was out there to headline a Lovebox Festival. Mm-hmm. And it was going to be her first performance in London in like 15 years. So it was a really big deal.
Right.
But her car got stopped on the way to the festival for some reason. I don't know why. Obviously made her late, and she got there way too late for her set. They cancelled her set. So she was just distraught, obviously, because it was such a big deal. And I came up with, on the spot, there and then, I said to her, like, oh, why don't you should do like a meet and greet at the hotel before you fly back home tomorrow, so you know, don't get the backlash from the fans, because our fans definitely go hard.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, yeah, you should do a meet and greet. I mean, I'm sure they'd actually probably even love that more so.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, like that's a great idea, like can you help us to announce it? I was like, yeah, sure. So we announced it at like 3 a.m, I think, just on like Twitter and online. Announced it at 3 a.m. for 11 a.m. and she had like nearly 200 fans come to the hotel. Like,
that's crazy.
It was crazy. And afterwards she was just like, because I didn't know what to expect, like when meeting her, because she's obviously such a big star and a legend. You never really know like how they're going to be. Are they going to be nice?
Right.
But she was so sweet, and like after it was all finished, she was just super thankful to me for like helping them, like obviously put that together.
Right. Saving.
Like, it's fine.
Great.
But still to this day, I still keep in touch with like her sister here and there, and I've not seen Kim since though. I've never bumped into her again at like an event or anything.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to be at this Oscars party that I was at in LA like last month, but she didn't end up coming. I was like, damn, because I really wanted to reestablish the relationship like all these years on, because she obviously wouldn't forget something like that. But,
right.
But yeah, and I still talk to Brooke as well, who connected us and manages Tiffany. So.
Nice. Well, hopefully we'll be at Lovers and Friends, that festival she just confirmed she'll be at.
The check cleared.
The check cleared. So, okay, obviously at this point we're about 8 minutes in and you guys can hear her accent. So she's not from Atlanta. She's not from the States. Yeah. So talk about, just, for one, I'm really impressed by your clientele ranging from, where you are in the UK to out here, obviously in the U.S., all the way to Toronto, just establishing that clientele. But let's talk about where exactly you're from in the UK, because it's not London. Yeah. It's a little outside London.
Yeah, it's not literally in London. I'm from, I guess you could say, like, outskirts of London. It's called Kent, where I'm from. And then the town, because I live in a seaside town, live by the beach. So I grew
soothing.
Up. Yeah, it's super relaxing, super boring though. Nothing goes on there. Ain't no music scene, ain't no showcases, no nothing.
Nothing.
It's super boring. But it's home, I guess.
So is there a space for that there, like to create it, or are you just like, I can do more in London?
I mean, you do have like live music in like the pubs. There's a lot of pubs down there, and you have like live music every weekend and evenings and stuff. And there's like some young people, like singers, but I don't really know. Well, there is a famous rapper from Margate, where I live actually. His name's Mike Righteous. He's really, really dope. But obviously all his stuff he has to go to like London, because there's not any popping like radio stations down there in Kent that be playing like the music we'd be listening to. Like,
right.
It's just mainstream music. Even like my friends, like back home in my hometown, like my close friends or people I grew up with or people I went to school with, a lot of them, like if I say to them like, oh, have you heard that? Or like someone that's really famous or really well known like in London, a lot of them haven't even heard of them because literally down there it really is just whatever's on the charts.
Right.
That's what they be knowing.
Got you. So let me ask you, just in the vein of being a publicist and public relations, how would you say you're an efficient publicist? Like, obviously, the story about Lil' Kim, to me, what I got from that is like you created the opportunity for to resolve something, which is, we know, PR.
Damage control. Is literally PR.
Yeah. Why do you feel like how are you efficient as a publicist? Like, why do people say, I need to hire Sophie?
I think because I just be on point. I just be getting it done, be efficient. It doesn't, like, my company is just me and I work on 4 different time zones, but I still always, for the most part, reply on the same day. No matter where I am, whether it's in LA with an 8-hour time difference or I'm here or I'm in the UK, like, it doesn't matter.
So do you sleep?
I mean, I guess I try, but no, I do for the most part. I try and get my 8 hours if I can because I like to sleep. But even, that is the blessing of obviously being like when you work for yourself is like you can stay up till 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. even and get up at 10 if you haven't got like somewhere specific you need to go by a certain time, because when I'm at home I pretty much just stay in my house and work from home.
Right.
And don't really leave unless I have to go into London for like a paid press day or there's a client coming over from America and I'm doing their press and radio run whilst they're in town.
Right.
And then obviously I might stay in London for like a week and just stay at my friends and then go back home after.
Gotcha.
But apart from that, I just be home. But yeah, I be on point. I think communication, like I'm really big on communication, like poor communication
irritates you.
Oh my God, irks my soul.
I know.
But yeah, just I'm persistent. I'm super persistent for sure. But you have to be as a publicist. That's how I be getting shit done.
Can you recall a time when that persistence for you showed a great reward? Like, I mean, I'm sure you can recall countless times, but like just maybe something in particular that was challenging for you even, and that without the persistence, it may not have come through?
I mean, it'd be a lot of things regularly, even like the general basic day-to-day stuff of just always following up on my emails if I've sent like a song out to be played, for instance, or be premiered, or a client's video out to get posted on a blog, something like that. You don't always necessarily hear back straight away, even if you are sending it to someone that you've got like a solid relationship. They get so many emails and people be busy, so you always got to follow up regardless. So I always follow up, and for the most part that tends to work and get the track played or get the post done. But in terms of something like bigger, I don't know, it's been maybe like a few people I've wanted to work with, and maybe their teams at the time were like super slow, so I just was never hearing back when I would email and reach out about working with them. But then it's come full circle like a couple years, and then I finally heard something. So, like an example, I guess, although I've still not met her and I'm not working with her or anything, but I really want to like work with Cash Doll, for instance. I think she's dope, and I've been sending emails for like over a year, but whoever was managing it at the time, it's different now, would never reply to emails. I was just like, damn.
Right.
And then not so long ago, I just thought, fuck it, I'm just going to like DM her straight, like she might see it. And she did, and she's replied back a few times, and then she gave me her current manager's number so I could directly talk to her. So there's been like conversation back and forth. So hopefully,
Yeah,
maybe we
soon.
can figure that out.
Let's manifest
I think
it.
she wants to come to London, so hopefully that gets sorted, and then I can handle her press while she's out there.
Is that usually how you get connected with clients overseas? Like that they need help when they're there? Is that usually how you establish those relationships?
Yeah, I mean, it varies. Sometimes I'll just reach out in general if it's someone that I want to work with, like Cash Doll, for example, or whoever. But yeah, like if I see, like they can be, obviously Cash Doll's really big here right now, and there's other artists like Sweetie and people like that who'd be really big, but don't necessarily be getting that regular radio rotation how they should be in like London, even though they got the fan bases there and they can come over and easily do a show and sell it out. They don't really be getting the press coverage like that, and I don't know whether it's because the labels don't be going as hard on the UK side as things. I don't know what it is, but so there's obviously like a gap for me to then come in and be like, well, this is what I can do. And most publicists don't necessarily do the radio play as well. Like people, well, I don't know about here, but in the UK for the most part, they're paid separate for that. They pay like a radio plugger, and then they pay a publicist to handle like strictly just the press. But where I offer both, it's kind of like gives me an advantage because.
How would you say that you established those relationships with radio then? Like, is that just through time and like the blogging stuff early on?
Probably started, I would imagine, from when I was doing the blog. I probably met quite a few people, and then just going again to like events and networking with the right people and social media as well. Excuse me.
Yeah, you do utilize. You were following me on social media before. That's how I.
Yeah, like,
you're like, I think I follow you.
I'll be following like the right people, and I don't know. I just know how to utilize it, like you said, and reach out. Like I secured Maya as a client via Twitter.
Who?
Maya.
Oh, Maya. Yes.
Yeah. That was just by Twitter. Like that was back in 2016. I did like 2 months PR work for her, and I literally just tweeted at her and was like, can you follow me back so I can shoot you a DM? Like one of them standard tweets you don't necessarily think that it's going to happen. She followed me back. DM'd her was because she had her project Smooth Jones coming out at the time. And I was like, oh, I see you've got the project coming out. Do you have a UK publicist? Because if not, I definitely would like to work with you and help you get like the songs rotating in London and get the press and that. She was like, no, I don't, and I would be interested in that, and then put me in touch with her manager, and then had a whole contract. Did like a first month trial with her because I hadn't even been doing PR that long then. So I did the trial. I was like, okay, I'll do a trial. I do a 1 month trial. Obviously killed it, showed them, got them loads of stuff like MTV write-ups, radio play, interviews. And then the second month got paid for it. So, but I've never met her.
Really? Ever. It was just all over the computer?
Off the strength, really. And that was back in 2016. So obviously I've done a lot more since then and worked with a lot more artists. So now it's a lot easier to secure clients. But
as a publicist, do you feel like you have to have a certain image or likeness on social media too? Like, do you think, because a lot of times I've sat with a few publicists who own their own PR firms, and some range from like their personal social media having like X amount of followers to whatever, you know what I mean? So do you think that in order to appear like you can do great work, do you have to have like a huge social media following? Is your social media important when saying that you can like help somebody with PR?
I think how you present the social media is definitely important. You can't be having like just a whole page of memes or something. Like post the odd one here and there. It's funny. Like, still to my personal page, but not like some people's stuff don't really be matching up what they do when you go to their page. But in terms of followers, I don't really think like your follower account as like a publicist or if you're someone in the background that matters. Like, to be honest, like the people who are the highest up have got, for the most part, you go on their page is private, first of all, you got to request them. And then second of all, they probably got like 300 followers or something and hardly any posts. but they're more so like as executives, things like that. But
Right.
as a publicist, I obviously need my page to be open so people can kind of see what I be doing. But yeah,
Would you
'cause I
prefer
have a
that it was
press
private?
page as well on Instagram.
Yeah.
Separate.
What is it? The Music and Motion page?
Music Emotion PR, yeah.
Yeah.
But whenever I post press clips or radio flyers and that kind of thing, I post it to my main page and that one at the same time anyway. But
Right. Do you prefer to have would you prefer to have a private page if you had the option?
not really. I think I had it private at one point in time. It was just annoying having to like accept people
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I was just like, no, it's much better to just be open. But sometimes, like, because people be annoying, sometimes I'll be wanting to go on rants and stuff, and I've learned. You learn with time. There was a time where I just didn't give a shit. I would just go off, especially on like Twitter and things like that. But now, obviously, I've matured and
Things have changed, perspectives have changed.
and then you like learn a few things, and it's like, yeah. But just yesterday, I had to like tell someone about themselves because they come in my DM being crazy. People are a bit weird out here. Can't lie.
I think that also, I mean, is there ever
Americans, some of them be a
are
little
different.
weird. It's a little different.
That's what I was going to ask him. Like, I mean, is there ever a barrier of like communication or even like morally or, you know, just certain things that are not, because let me preface this by saying when we met each other for the first time during that interview, at that point we hung out a few times after that. Sophie invited me with all of her UK friends and like literally rappers, artists.
Deep.
I was in there deep. Like at this point,
big UK artists as well.
yeah, they're huge. And so I'm like, you know, I'm in here with the likes of everybody. And I learned a lot just about the way that you all communicate, the way that you party, the way that you like interact.
Whereas like Audio Mac party, right?
Yeah, Audio Mac was in there for a minute.
Like 15.
But I say that to say that there's a difference in the way that I communicated with you guys versus I'm sure you've had your fair interactions with us as Americans. So I'm wondering, is there ever a barrier? How have you been able to navigate, you know, just I'm still kind of wondering even how you communicate on the time difference with your clientele that's here, or just even when people reach out to you wanting to work with you, like the process of that sort of communication.
Sometimes I do definitely. I mean, I try and be, in terms of like the time difference, I try for the most part to be like considerate of the time difference. Like on my phone, I have the world clock set up and I have Atlanta, London, LA,
like your markets.
Miami, New York. I have them all set up. So for the most part, sometimes I'll go and check it quickly and be like, what is the time actually?
Yeah.
Sometimes, obviously, if you've got to get something sent out while you think about it, you'll just send it and be like, no, pick it up in the morning, it's fine.
Right.
But a lot of times I will wake up to like messages from like texts from like Neela, for example, and I look at it and see it was like sent at like 4 a.m. my time, and I'm like, girl, you know my ass is sleeping. But yeah, or she has rung me a couple of times at like 1 or 2 a.m. But then she like realise after, and I'll wake up the next day and see that she's also texted me and be like, oh, sorry, just remember the time. I'm like, yep, was definitely sleeping. But I don't be hearing it anyway, so it don't make a difference to me. But no, for the most part, I mean, I guess it like, that does keep me up a bit more. Like, that's why I'll be going to bed so late, because sometimes I'll be jumping on calls at like midnight or 1 a.m. if I'm really awake.
That just takes a different type of work ethic. That takes a different type of discipline.
I mean, you definitely don't have the energy or be in the mood to do that all the time.
Right.
But sometimes if I'm like pretty awake and I'm like, just in work mode, I'll be hopping on calls at mad times. But yeah, the LA difference be killing me the most, because it'd be so hard, because I have a PR partner in LA as well, and trying to get her on the phone at the best of times is beyond difficult. I'll be on to her about that anyway. And then when I'm home and there's a whole 8-hour time difference, it's like trying to find the right time to call where she might not be doing something, or so we can get on a call and discuss whatever we need to call. is so difficult sometimes. But
now when you say you have a PR partner, how does that work? Like she has her own and you have your own?
She has her own company. We haven't like officially like drawn up contracts and done a whole official partnership, so to speak. But I met her when I was in LA for BET weekend back in like 2018, when again I was out there for like a month. And we just really clicked, and she really liked how I worked and how I'd just be on my shit. And we just basically decided that we were going to kind of partner up to the point where we'll start taking on some clients together and offer both markets, basically, because she's much older than me, so she kind of like takes on like a mentor role, because I think she's 45, so yeah, she's a lot older than me, and she's been in the industry 20 plus years, so she's literally worked with everyone from Prince to Kevin Hart to Jamie Foxx, so she's got some crazy experience. So we just decided to like partner up basically and start taking clients on together and have her completely handle the US market. I still like help with that too, because I've got my contacts in the different like locations as well, but for the most part have her handle the US and I handle the UK, and to be able to offer that and like kill both those markets is obviously really good to be able to offer that extra, but it should be expensive and not everyone can afford to pay for two markets, so it's just about finding like the right clients. But we've done a couple clients so far together. We actually just started working with Safari.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I did see that.
So I got him like about 3 call-in interviews so far to London radio, so he's done them. They've gone really well. But he's really cool. So now in terms of like money, because obviously you probably early on weren't charging, or you did a trial month with Maya or whatever. But is there? How are you able to set your prices as you continue to grow your clientele, and like, do you offer certain rates for indie artists? Because I know you work with a lot of independent artists, but then you work with artists that are attached to labels and things. Like, how do you determine, especially as someone who works solely for themselves as an entrepreneur, you have your business, like, how do you establish that? And just talk about also this, like, the ebbs and flows of money when you're freelancing, when you solely work for yourself. I mean, definitely not easy.
Yeah.
It should be so up and down. It'd be stressful, but it's starting to get to a point now, like, because I left my day job.
When did you leave your day job?
December 2017. So this year will be, that'll be 3 years then, won't it? This December, that's crazy. But yeah, so I left my day job in December 2017 to like do this full time, just take that leap of faith. But I didn't like leave my day job. I waited until I was at least earning every month what my day job was paying me. I probably should have maybe waited until I was, I don't know, maybe earning double, or I don't know. But
you should have waited till what?
Waited maybe until I was earning double.
Oh, double.
Because then you know you're 100% comfortable. But I was just over it, and I thought I might as well do it now. Like,
what was your day job?
Just like in admin, like just office work, which kind of worked to my advantage because I'd be on the computer doing all my emails as well, sending texts, making sure people were at their radio interviews. I mean, they used to get on to me all the time, like, get off your phone. I used to feel like I was like at school. It was really irritating.
Yeah.
But they knew as well, like, what I did, like, on the side, and they were actually like really interested by it and supportive, which kind of made going into the day job not so crap as like what it would have been if they were like so anti against it. But obviously, like, being on the phone all the time, like, not talking obviously, but texting and stuff, like, they did used to get on to me. And like, before I left, it was getting to a point where like the work side of things on the PR with clients and stuff was getting more demanding, so I was definitely on my phone like more and more, and I know they were getting pissed. I don't think they would have like fired me because I was good at what I did and I always got my work done like on time and stuff, but I was like, well, I'm going to quit just in case because I'm trying to get fired.
Right.
But I was like, I'll do it at the end of the year. I think I quit on like the 7th of December was my last day or something. And then I flew to New York on the 8th and did like a launch party in Brooklyn for my Music in Motion PR.
Wow.
Literally like the next day or the day after. So that was kind of a whirlwind. And then came back. Everything was going good. And then like literally like 3-4 months into having like left my day job and like just trying to like start out doing this full time on my own, I like unfortunately lost my dad. My dad committed suicide in the March of the 2018. So that was like beyond like crazy to deal with, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I wanted to actually, I didn't know if you were be open, but we had this conversation, you know, off the record.
Yeah.
But in terms of those, some of the sacrifices that you make to pursue your dreams or to do something that you love in the midst of like life circumstances. Because I mean, obviously you're coming up on that anniversary. I know this is like a difficult time.
22nd of March is coming up, and it actually this year, which will be the 2-year anniversary, happens to be Mother's Day the same day. So that's a real weird one, like for us.
Oh, okay.
Different.
Yeah, forget.
Mother's Day and Father's Day, different day to you guys.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a
strange,
weird one. And obviously before I was actually going to be out here for it because I was meant to be staying out here till the 23rd of March. But that was only if I was going to South by Southwest. I'm not going there anyway. So I was going to change my flight and go home a bit earlier and get focused on what I need to do there. And then I also started thinking a bit more in deep to it. I think my anxiety started flaring up as I was thinking a bit more in depth, like, ugh.
Can I really do this?
Do I really want to be out here for the 2nd anniversary and Miss Mother's Day as well? Like, it's the same day. I was just like, So I'm kind of like, I managed to change my flight today. So I go home on the 3rd of March, finally, after like nearly 2 months. So that's a relief. But yeah, just like dealing with that, like freaking 3-4 months into trying to launch your company like full time was a lot. But obviously when it happened, it was just like I didn't even know how to deal with something like that. And whenever anything bad happens to me, which has never been as bad as that before, obviously, but I always use this as like my escape and almost go into like autopilot. And literally the next day I was meant to be going to London for an event. Mila J was actually doing an event at the clothing brand store that I was doing PR for at the time. And even after just getting that news that night and being in the mix of all that, I still messaged the guy who ran the clothing brand that night and was like I told him what had happened, obviously, and was like, yeah, I'm really sorry, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make it tomorrow. Like, as if like I would even need to explain myself. Yeah. But I was like, and even in my head during that, I was considering like for a split second, like actually going, like big. But obviously, I was like, I cannot. Shell shock. Like I wasn't thinking right.
Yeah.
But even only a week later, I went back like into London and went to the store, and I definitely shouldn't have gone, but I didn't really know what else to do with myself. But it was crazy because I went up there and like I got into London, and it's literally like one stop on the underground to the location where the store is. I got off the train, I went to get the underground, and for some reason that day, I mean, I cried on the train up there for a start because I was just a mess.
Like what the hell just happened?
I was just like, oh my God. And then I got off the train, went to get on the underground to go to the store. And that day they had like rail works or something going on, and that line was closed. So I had to figure out how to get to the place without using that train line. And usually I would work it out so easy. Like it's literally...
But it became a huge thing because
I could not. Like, I couldn't even get it together in my head, like, to figure out how to do it. So I ended up, like, spending money getting an Uber, and it was, like, not even far. But my brain was just, like, mashed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot
to deal with.
I think it is an interesting thing to think about when we deal with loss or we're grieving in the midst of elevation, because for you, you know, there's a pivotal time for you to be like launching your business publicly, and then at the same time dealing with that loss. So it's like, how do you keep going? Like, what is that motivating force for you at that point when you really don't even know what you're dealing with?
And that's how I ended up being in America for 2 months again that year as well, because I went out to BET that June, so that was only like 3 months after it happened, less than 3 months after it happened. Went out, I was meant to just go for BET weekend for like the 5 days. And the trip was so amazing, like all these things were happening. I was like, I need to stay longer than 5 days. And it got to the night before I was due to fly back home to London. I was like, I've got to stay. And I was like, but I need to make the flight money to be able to stay, because I can't afford to just pay for it again out of my thing. So I looked up the flights. It was like £400 to change it for the following week. I was like, okay, that's like $600, so I've got to get that tonight if I'm going to stay. So I came up with like a little promo package on the spot, and I was going to my friend's performance that night out there. And it was like a showcase, so it was like loads of other artists there. And came up with this promo package for $200 to get some UK radio playing, a bit of press coverage. And I networked at the event. I secured the $600 within an hour and a half, and I sat there and changed my flight. And
That's insane.
For the following week. And then the following week came around and I didn't even go home again. Someone sent me like £500 so I could stay even longer. And then I just didn't book a flight. I ended up staying in LA for like 3 weeks, and then I flew to Atlanta. And I stayed here for an entire month, lived with Neela for a whole month. We were running around like crazy, doing all this stuff. It was just so surreal, because it was like all these amazing things were like happening, and I was like in amongst this turmoil of like the worst fucking thing that could ever happen to me in my life. So it was like so hard. Like, I mean, like Neela really held me down, to be fair, like during that time. Like there was times she just like held me. I just was crying and she cried with me, and it was a lot. Even just thinking about it is like, wow, that was a lot. And my dad's birthday like fell on like August 10th when I was out here as well, and so that was like the first time without him, so that was a lot, being away from home.
Very emotional.
Very
emotional. I think it just speaks to, like I said though, just the oftentimes, and your story is not the first story that I've heard where, you know, you deal with such great loss in the midst of great reward. So, you know, it's something to think about, and, you know, I'm definitely wishing you well as we get through another year without your father. But I do want to ask you, because we didn't really quite talk about this, but we did have an event, so I want to say congrats to you on the first
fun.
Female Hustlers event. She has a brand called Female Hustlers, which launched in 2017 in the UK, but this year 2020 was the very first one in the US, and it happened to be in Atlanta, and your girl happened to moderate it and host it.
My hostess with the most.
But no, it was a dope panel of about 3 publicists and 2 digital content creators. And who am I missing? It was one other person on my left. Oh, and of course, like a business /
Chelsea.
Chelsea, the entrepreneur.
Finance.
So it was a very diverse panel, and it was executed very well. I know that, of course, we would have wanted the whole, like, it was just a perfect, like, intimate experience for that conversation. I thought it was dope.
I think it was like a nice turnout, like, considering it was my first ever event here ever. First of all, I'm not from here, from the other side of the world, and it was raining like crazy.
Yeah, it was raining.
No, people ain't trying to leave the house at all in that weather like that, because I know I don't want to be going out. So even the fact that people came out and like it was like a decent turnout, I was like,
How did you come up with the Female Hustlers brand? Why did you think that was important for you to start back in 2017?
I don't know what made me randomly start it. I don't know whether I was maybe like missing kind of like the blogging side of things a little bit maybe, and thought, I kind of want to start something else in addition to what I'm doing. And I just, the Female Hustler brand is just really about celebrating like females that are killing it in their fields of work, basically, whether that's in the music industry or fashion or whatever it may be, just celebrating them. And to begin with, I just got the website made, And then I did some like interviews with different girls. Like Andrea was one of the interviews. Just sent the email, reached out, and then sent the emails out over like email.
Oh, okay, it's like a written interview.
And then writ the interview up as like a feature on the website. Jackie O from Wild and Out. Who else? Milano, DeRouge, Meek Mill's girlfriend. Just like boss females with businesses. DJ Miss Milan, Sweetie's DJ, Savannah Britt, a bunch of people, like really dope women. So I did all those interviews to begin with, and then we added like a online store as well to the website. So there's like
merch
female
things.
hustler hoodies and
Dope.
t-shirts and mugs and stuff on there, which is cool. But I've not really pushed that side of it so much, so I haven't like gone out and made like a bunch of sales or anything like that yet.
Right.
So I do want to figure out the best way to push that soon.
I mean, just in general, though, like you have to know Sophie is to know her hustle, but how would you define the female hustler? Like, what does that look like to you?
For me, I would say just like a boss female that's got their shit together and gets things done regardless. Like, no matter what's going on, you're still going to get the job done every time. You're efficient and reliable, and just getting the job done every time, basically.
Yeah.
No excuses.
Yeah, all the women that you named are bosses in their own right, and they've had their fair share of challenges to overcome. So I think that's dope. Let's talk about your experience just briefly with some of the clients. Like, can you recall like another moment, maybe even recently, that you've worked with a client and you just felt like, wow, I feel good about what I was able to add to this project, add to this space. Because it's like with PR, a lot of people don't even understand like how, like it seems like the cleanup and like the things that nobody really wants to do is oftentimes. But talk about how you've been able to add value to maybe like one of your clients' projects or the things that you've been able to create.
I think there's a couple things that have been cool. I think one of the really dope moments was the first time we got Nina played on our biggest radio station in London, which is BBC One Extra, and now she's been played like
several times,
about 7 times or something on different shows on that station, which is like the equivalent of your like Hot 97 or Power 106, something like that. So like a big deal.
Nice.
And now I can just get her played on there like regularly, and like on the R&B show on BBC One Extra that she regularly gets played on now. Like the guy actually does a showcase and he wants her to come out as well at some point. She's not been to London yet.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure that out for this year, for sure, for this year. So just even that in itself was like a huge
milestone,
moment, because obviously she's not an artist that's like signed to like a major label or anything like that. She's still growing herself. So to get played on like the biggest station on the other side of the world is like huge.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So that was really dope.
You have Grammy nominated client.
Yes, Garen. Shout out Garen. He was nominated this year because he was on the Dreamville album, and then he was nominated last year as well because he's actually the guy that sings on Nipsey's dedication track. Mm-hmm. So he's obviously nominated for that. They say things come in free, so hopefully next year will be the 3rd nomination for I don't know what yet, but and hopefully he'll take it home.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's got to happen. But outside of that, Trans Lee as well, who's with Hustle Gang out here. I do his UK PR, and he just came to London for the first time November, end of November, beginning of December. He was out there. And just being able to be a part of his first ever time coming to the UK and facilitating like the whole press for that, and his listening party, ended up doing like a listening party, like just playing all his music for people out there. And there was actually like a fan who came to the listening party as well, who was all the way from I think he was from Chicago or something, and he
wow.
was just happened to be in London at the time.
That's crazy.
And had seen him post about it and came out for it.
That's
so that was
dope.
really, really dope.
Yeah,
and he was
dope.
a proper fan, knew about all his mixtapes from way, way back.
Yeah.
So it was a really dope moment for him. So that was really dope. And then outside of that as well, end of last year, December, Cowboy, who signed to Dream Chasers, he just put out his project today. He came over and I managed to get the opportunity to work with him too. And again, that was his first London trip, and I managed to take him to all the biggest platforms for his freestyles on Tim Westwood and Fire in the Booth with Charlie Sloth on Beats One.
That's dope.
So I love being part of those first trips. And then one last one actually, because this was a really big one, that was B Simone.
Yeah, I was we got to talk about B Simone.
Week before I came out here to the States, we did B's sold out London comedy show, first ever time as well, again coming to the UK.
Did you already recognize that she just had a following and you already knew?
I mean, I've known B since 2017, and I worked with her and did some UK PR for her all the way back in 2017. I got some of her music played in London and did a couple radio interviews at the time. But when we met up out here and went for a drink out here and got that started, she was still very much she had a decent following, but I think maybe 100 or 200,000 followers or something like that at the time. And still, very much growing and getting to the point where she is now. And so, we just did that PR off the strength, basically, and got some play, and then come full circle to 2020, and she's 4 million followers or whatever she is now, going on tours with some of the biggest comedians, and then we sell out the London show.
Amazing.
That was amazing to be a part of, and some really big people came out to that as well. Steph London came out, Chloe and Halle, Beyonce's artist, came. So that was a really dope experience.
That's what's up.
Now we just wanted to come back and we're going to do a tour at some point.
Yeah.
We've got to figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be there soon, for sure.
Yes, you have to come.
I'll be there soon, and Sophie will be handling all of my press.
Yes.
But no, it seems like you're the person that people need to know. You're definitely the first stop when it comes to anybody coming to London, especially if you're in the music and entertainment space. I'm excited. What do you have, or what do you want for the future for Music in Motion, the PR firm, for Sophie, and you balancing your life and things? What can we expect?
Man, I just want to keep securing these
boss
clients, get the shmoney. And I'm already planning my next Female Hustler event for London, because I was meant to do it last year and then I didn't end up doing it. So I think it's going to be 23rd of April. I've got maybe 3/4 of the lineup sorted already.
Sweet.
Yeah, super big lineup. So I'm excited.
Yeah, the
so
Female Hustlers panel is also a show. We didn't really talk about it, but Neela performed and Pop Chanel performed.
Yeah, I was just performed. Pap in the studio last night.
Nice.
And Damani.
So dope artist.
That was dope.
Yeah.
And like you said, the panel was really dope out here. Managed to connect with some really boss females from Atlanta.
Yes.
Everyone came through. So
we got to do it again for sure. I'm excited for all that you have in store. You're really doing amazing things. I want you to know that. I'm inspired by
blush,
you.
Girl.
I'm inspired. I've admired you since the first day that we actually met. So congrats to all that you've done. Please tell them where they can find you as well as your brands online.
So Instagram is SRJ Music in Motion, or just the press page is Music in Motion PR. And then Twitter is Sophie_J_1990. That should be long, but I don't know. Maybe I'll change it to match my Instagram if I can. It'd be long saying that.
It's okay. Thank you so much, Sophie. And as always, you guys can find this podcast at IDM Podcast on social media, as well as myself at Sammy Approved on all platforms. Thanks, Soph.
Sonically superior.